Welcome, everybody, to the second episode of the Sports Sit Down. I'm Mike Damergis, along with Anthony Carlo. And, Anthony, let's get things started right off the top. Giants beat the Saints on Sunday 16-13. Everybody thought this was going to be a real barn burner, and it wasn't.
No, it was not. And listen, this is the first time the Giants have been 2-0 out of the gate since 2009.
Boy, you did some major research for that stat, didn't you?
Yeah,
okay, that's what I thought.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, I don't know any better. I got to look up my stuff. Listen, when I was watching this game, first of all, there were some down points early on in the game, second quarter specifically. You've got Manning, you've got Jennings, and Cruz all fumbling on consecutive
And how about a Beckham? I mean, what did they have? Look at this fine bottle of WD-40, some oil. Can they hold on to the ball? I mean, the Giants could have been up in this game. Also, you're forgetting about Donnell with a touchdown pass in the end zone. He had that right there. That would have put the Giants up. And they went for it on fourth down. They left 7 points on the board there. So in light of that, I couldn't find any glue on the campus, so I got some wonderful Scotch tape. So maybe they could put some Scotch tape on their hands. Victor Cruz, you make that catch, you have that run. Hold on to the ball. Beckham, hold on to the ball. Donnell, hold on to the ball. Come on, guys.
What was that movie, Little Giants, when they put on the stick-em on their hands and then the kid got his hand stuck and couldn't separate them?
Was that it?
Maybe that's what they need. Listen, I mean, we love to get on the Giants even though they are winning, but they are only winning by 4-point
But they're winning. That's the important thing.
That's
okay, because these are games last year they'd be losing.
Absolutely.
And look, the defense has been coming through, and the offense, we see the offense that they're making plays, which is important. I mean, the difference that Victor Cruz makes, you can see it in the offense. I mean, it takes the pressure off of ODB.
And he set up that Josh Brown field goal that won the game with that huge reception Victor Cruz made. But I agree with you. Sterling Shepard, Odell Beckham, 8 receptions apiece. You know why? The defense is concentrating a little bit more on Victor Cruz, and they're getting their receptions. So as you said, there's a little bit of focus off of those guys, and it's really opening things up.
And look, you beat the Saints at home 16-13. The Saints are not the same team they are at the Dome. No. Clearly, Drew Brees is not the same quarterback. Look, a win is a win. They're 2-0. To me, they only need 8 more wins the rest of the year to take this darn division. So the Giants on a roll. Moving along, our friend in Buffalo, Rex Ryan, is in trouble. Shocking, 0-2. Let's look at Rex's stats first off. Sure. 2009 goes 9-7. They should have been 8-8, and they should never been in the playoffs that year. If you remember the last game of the year, the Colts benched Peyton Manning because basically the season was up. They had the division, they had everything all clinched up. They didn't have to play them. Jets came back and win.
Right.
Okay, they do go to the AFC Championship game. Then in 2010, 11-5, we give the marks to them. But this animal house mentality that went on was absolutely ridiculous in New York. And then they dropped to 8-8, 6-10, 8-8, 4-12. The guy's a loser. He's now a career record of 54-60. He has no control. Okay? The team gives up 37 points. The offense scores 24 of the 31 points, and they fire the offensive coordinator. Why wasn't his fat brother fired? Why wasn't he kicked out of town?
But Mike, he's charismatic. He tells the people what they want to hear. That's what Rex Ryan's about. And I want to comment on that. If I was, and I listen to Mike Francesa say this, so I have to attribute where it came from, but I agree with him. If I was the Bills management, I would have never let Rex Ryan bring in his brother. You're hiring a family member. Has Rob Ryan done anything to deserve this job with the Buffalo Bills?
Absolutely not. He's been a disaster the last few years as defensive coordinator. He's done nothing. And you know, his father was a great defensive coordinator, but he was not a good head coach. 3 straight years, the Eagles went to the playoffs, lost in the first round.
Absolutely.
When he had those great teams in the 80s, and a defense led by Jerome Brown, Reggie White, and guys like Seth Joyner and stuff like that. Quarterback, Randall Cunningham. Come on, you can't win a playoff game with those guys. The bloodline just doesn't go down to great head coaches in the Ryan family.
And to boot, the Bills organization, to me, doesn't know what it's doing. You have the owners meeting with the players without the head coach to talk about what needs to be done. When do you ever see that in football? A meeting without the head coach? You're excluding the head coach?
Yeah.
There's problems, major problems in Buffalo, and I'm not surprised the Jets won the game.
To me, this season's lost for the Buffalo Bills. It's just really, watching Rex Ryan walk the plank. I think he needs to put his sunglasses on and kind of just like get in his car, get his wife, maybe suck his wife's toe as he drives down south to his home and everything, and he needs to just get out of town.
Listen, the guy's a good talker, so whatever way he goes out, I'm sure another team will pick him up eventually. The Jets, though, how about them? I mean, they do win this game, 37-31 over the Bills. This is my only thing here. To me, solid game, able to come away with the win. something continues to loom over this team's head, and it's the fact that their secondary
the
continues
Jets.
to get blown up.
Well, I'm going to give them a little bit of a pass because in the preseason, guys don't get much time on the field. However, missed coverage, guys getting beat. The defensive line has really kept them in games. The linebackers, I've given them maybe a C+ so far. But the secondary, I mean, could you just give them a fail? I mean, that's what they are. If it wasn't for the defensive line, it's a pure fail here.
Absolutely. And Todd Bowles, I mean, it's surprising for him because when he played, he was a member of the secondary. So you can imagine how this is eating away at him to watch this team continue to give up deep balls. This week it was to Salas. But the real test for me, I know they won this game, can they win at Arrowhead against the Chiefs?
That's going to be a tough task. If one guy can fix a secondary, it's Todd Bowles. Yeah. On the positive note, the offense is clicking for the most part. Right. You've got Matt Forte, who's been sensational. You've got Eric Decker. You got Brandon Marshall, and you've got the new kid in Nunwa. Not the new kid; it was from last year, but the young kid in Nunwa, who's everybody all of a sudden in their fantasy teams has been picking him up. So I think the Jets have a good chance in Kansas City. Moving along to Major League Baseball. Now that football is here.
Yes.
Is baseball relevant? And I say it is for one reason, and that's the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs, kind of like what the Red Sox were in the early 2000s, are a national story. Sure. Baseball is not a national story, but the Cubs can make baseball a national story and keep them in the spotlight.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I think from day one, people were picking the Cubs to win the World Series. I think this is a team that is made up of stars, exciting players. I mean, they have a potent lineup. Not even to mention the pitching. I mean, Arrieta, Lester, Hendricks, Lackey. Do they really have any loophole to not win this World Series? I mean, I think it's assuring.
No, and I love Chris Bryant. I love Anthony Rizzo. I mean, he plays first base. He's got a mix. He's got moxie.
Oh, absolutely.
Anthony Rizzo. He seems like Don Mattingly in his day and a little bit of Keith Hernandez. Yeah. And boy, this guy can hit. Yeah. So, I mean, the Cubs are an exciting team to watch. They play at one of the most historic parks in the history of baseball. I don't know if you've been there. It's a great place to watch a game. You get into late September and October with that fall cool air, the smell the peanuts and the popcorn. What an atmosphere. How great is that for baseball? And I'm looking forward to the Cubs. I know they thought it was their year maybe in 2007. They thought it was the year maybe in 2003. I don't want to mention, Steve Bartman. Hello, anybody. But this has to be the Cubs' year. This is a year they've got to turn things around. They cannot let it slip by this year.
I agree, and I think they have, even though some people think he's very unorthodox, Joe Madden might be the right person.
Mr. Magoo, I call him.
Yeah, he might be the right person to bring this all together this year, and I know this team wants to do this considering it's David Ross's last year, and he's heading out. Is that our buzzer?
Oh, I got to close. My closing thoughts here.
Okay.
I have 3 suggestions to save baseball. You ready for this?
Sure. Hit 'em.
Okay. Now, we got to drop baseball down to 145 game season.
Oh, geez.
Okay, because the records don't mean anything because of the steroids era. Records don't mean squat anymore in baseball.
Okay. Valid point.
Okay. We need, and by that we will add the 2 of the best records in the American and National League. They get a bye in the first round. Have 4 wild cards. I'm sorry, 3 wild cards, and the worst division winner battle it out against each other, and then they play the 2 best winners of the division winners. Okay.
Okay.
You got that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're expanding the wild card.
Okay.
9-game World Series.
9-game World Series. Where does this come?
Well, they've had that in the past. 9-game World Series. I like that.
Yeah.
It adds an extra 2 games to the World Series.
You don't feel that the World Series is long enough to begin with?
I think if you shorten the season down to 145 games,
you deserve a 9-game World Series.
You deserve a 9-game World Series, and get rid of the DH. Got to get rid of the DH. Get rid of it. You don't need it anymore.
Getting rid of the DH.
Okay.
You know what? Maybe it's because I'm an American League fan. I grew up with the DH.
Listen, with interleague play, you've got to get you're one way or the other. You can't have both ways. Can't happen anymore.
But with interleague play, American League teams get the opportunity to hit their pitcher.
You got to be unison. You got to be one way or the other. Okay. And then finally, you ready for this one? This is going to say pitching arms. Okay, we're going to say pitching arms by going to 145 games. All right. Okay. Finally, we're going to 7-inning game. Cut down on time.
Wow. Now that one has to make me think a little bit because some people get very bored being in a baseball game for 3+ hours.
Get bored, and you don't have to worry. The pitchers don't have to worry about throwing out their arm, and you're not using as many relief pitchers. Of course, the players' union is not going to like that. Oh, you're costing arms. I mean, you get these junk relievers in the 6th, 7th inning. I mean, come on. 7 innings is perfect. They need to shorten the game. It's too long. There's too many games. Football's different. It's once a week. The games could run 3.5 hours. Nobody's going to care. Sunday is owned by the NFL. Saturday is owned by college football. These games can go on. Baseball can't do it. People have to go to work. They have to get up early. The games are too long.
Maybe it's just me and the fact that if baseball was a woman, I'd marry her. But I enjoy when I go to a baseball game. I wish the games were 12 innings long. Again, I'm biased. I love baseball. I love to sit there, watch the whole thing through and through. It's not long enough for me, but I see where you're coming from. Because some people say baseball's like watching paint dry. And I think you'd be appeasing many of them as well as taking care of the pitcher's health.
Well, you said baseball. If it was a bride, all of a sudden,
I would marry her.
Ricky Williams wearing a bride's dress. And he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated with Mike Ditka, and also Dennis Rodman when we put on a bride's dress. That just came to mind. He's Anthony Carlo. I'm Mike Damergis for the Sports Sit Down.